Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, we are finally going to be putting the Z in paint. I've bought some Basecoat Clearcoat for the Z. I've never sprayed Basecoat Clear, but I've done everything pretty much DIY on this car, really everything, bodywork, paint, primer, epoxy. I've done all that. So Basecoat Clearcoat doesn't really scare me. I'm nervous. I want to do a good job, but I also know I'm going to do the best I can, and it's going to turn out the way it is. And if I mess up, then, so be it. I'm going to drive the car. So I don't want to be nervous driving the car if it's perfect. So I'm going to bring you along for this video and getting this car painted. And I've already got a time lapse put together of the taping up of the car. So I'm going to get you on that right now. All right, so as you saw, we've got the car taped up, and it actually came out looking really professional, but I am no professional by any means. I will say one tip though on this sheeting here, this plastic sheeting, make sure you get the automotive rated stuff for painting. You can see on this how it says this side out. That is because this, when you get overspray on it, the overspray will stick to this and it won't flake off. So the sheeting that I use around the garage is just the stuff you get from Menards, real cheap. And if you get a large amount of overspray on that, it will flake, and it could, wind is circulating in here, and it could flake off and, cause for a very bad day. So I didn't know about this stuff until just a couple days ago when I purchased it. It comes in a big roll like that. So I would recommend that if you didn't know about it, pick that up. So if you in a spot like this and you're just using the Menards sheeting and you got a bunch of overspray, it would dry and you would come back over and that air pressure would blow the flakes around, and that would just be a disaster. So just a little tip there that I actually didn't know about. As far as ventilation goes, I've got 2 box fans in the back windows, and then I'm taking out my garage door windows and putting filters. So these fans are pointed out, so they're pushing air out, and then this will let the fresh air in. So a nice front to back airflow should be pretty good. There's 101 ways to paint a car, and the best way for me in my situation was to basically explode the car, take all the doors and the fenders and the hatch, take it all apart and paint it kind of separately. There's pros and cons to that, but for me in my situation, this is just what I chose to do. And I'm also a novice at painting. I've never painted Basecoat Clearcoat, so I think just painting them individually is a bit easier for me to kind of handle versus the whole car and everything at once. So yeah, this is what you see for kind of day one paint. The shell of the car, I've got the cowl over here, my 2 side skirts, inspection lids, the gas cap, and the hatch. So this is all I'm going to paint on day one, and then this will dry overnight, and then I'll take all of this, put it in my front garage, attached front garage, and then bring all of the fenders, the doors, the hood, the headlight buckets and such back, and I'll paint those on day 2. I did go ahead and pick up a new paint gun to upgrade from my Developus starting line guns. That came with, I think, kind of everything you need to do to paint a full, Basecoat Clearcoat and epoxy and all of that. But I've had that for quite a few years, so it's getting a little old and tired, I think. And so I just wanted to pick up a new gun. This is also kind of a budget gun. It was in the $350 range. And it's kind of new on the market, a kind of cool design that it's got the interchangeable heads. So I'm going to do a separate video on this. Not that I am any kind of painting professional, but just to maybe give you someone's opinion who is not a professional and how it went. So you guys are going to see how it came out, but I'm just going to tackle another video kind of specific to the gun and my findings. All right, so that's pretty much a recap of everything that's been going on. I've stained the car with 400 and 500 like the specs for the paint that I am using wanted, and everything back here is ready to go. I will say I'm probably not going to be talking too much on the day of paint because I'm going to have so much going through my head making sure everything is going right and I've got my mixtures right and things are drying and times and all that stuff. So hopefully you guys can understand. I'm probably just going to throw a time lapse on it and then I'll talk to you after the day's over, just like a recap, and then catch up with you guys then. So hopefully you guys understand. It's going to be a very nerve-wracking day to say the least, so wish me luck. Hey, how's it going? It's the next evening and I've got the Z moved to my front garage and all of my fenders and doors and hood and other pieces I got to paint, all of those were up here and I moved them to the back to get painted tomorrow. So this is kind of the Z out of the paint booth, and I just want to recap how painting day went and some of the issues I had and just an overall recap of the day. I'm going to try and do it pretty quickly because I could definitely talk for like 10 minutes, but overall I am totally happy with myself. I had lowered my expectations just because I didn't want to upset myself if it didn't turn out perfect. And that's kind of the way I am. I'm kind of a perfectionist. And so if something doesn't turn out perfect, I'm going to be upset with myself. So I went into this knowing, hey, there's going to be trash in there. There's going to be dirt. I might get a run or two. Things are going to happen. And I'm going to be okay with that. And even after having said all that, I'm very happy with myself. It turned out better than I expected. And yeah, so I'm really happy with the color. Really happy with the coverage. We don't have any huge major issues, nothing that some sanding and polishing, buffing won't fix or can't at least make look better. And again, I'm totally happy with it. And now I just want to cover some of the problems I had and just pass these things I learned on to you guys. The first one was ventilation. I guess those furnace filters that I had on the windows, I had 4 of my windows taken out my garage door. Those were too restrictive, at least for my box fans in the back. So when I started spraying the color, it got very cloudy in there, lots of overspray, and not a good situation. So we were like running around with screwdrivers poking holes in the filters, trying to let more air in, and that was kind of a disaster. Luckily, my girlfriend, she thinks on her toes, she had the tack cloth out and was wiping panels down before I was painting them, and she wiped down the car after I had painted like the side skirts and the hatch. She like wiped down the car with the tack cloth, and it was turning up red. So there's a lot of overspray in there, and you definitely do not want that, because that could lead to a very bad day. But we did end up getting the filters kind of adjusted, and we got that better. We got it ventilated a lot more. The other thing was I was running out of paint. So I should have mixed up a big container of paint so I could keep filling up my gun, but I didn't know how much coverage it was going to take to kind of cover, and I only mixed up 1 quart, and definitely novice experience. I should have mixed up a lot more. So I was even painting the car and I ran out. So I had to hurry back and mix up some more to try and keep that wet edge, because you don't want to leave the wet edge. And it was actually on the roof, kind of like the worst place to run out of paint. The other thing that contributed to that was that 3M liner system, and how it kind of collapses in on itself, where the paint goes, the liner kind of comes down. I've never used that before, but you can't see how much paint you have left, whereas in a traditional HVLP gun, you can like pop open the lid, look in it, and then, okay, I got this much left. Okay, I can paint this much more. We can't really tell with those liners. And that's just novice experience too, because probably if someone uses those liners, they have an idea of how much is left and how much they can continue painting. But I didn't, so I should have just mixed up a big thing, which I did end up doing. Like I said, I'm very happy with the paint job. You might see some dirt here and there, but again, I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's going to look really nice once I get this wet sanded and buffed. So just some close-ups, and I did get a run in the car. I think I only got 1, and it is right here. Let's see if we can get it in the light. There, I think you can see it now. There you go. So that is a run. That's a mistake I made because I was spraying this panel with clear, my first coat of clear. It's a run in the clear, so we should be able to buff that away. And I was coming up here and I stopped because I wanted to paint the inside of this. You know, the hatch wasn't here, but I stopped. And when I stopped, I guess I still had my finger on the trigger, so still laying down clear, and just got to run right there. So live and learn. But okay, that is where I'm going to stop talking. Been talking for a while now, and let's get back to the live action. But I could talk for another 10 minutes about my first day of painting. So let's get on to painting the fenders and the hood and all of the other stuff. So let's take a look. This is the day after painting all of the body pieces. We can take a look at our doors and our hood, fenders. Again, kind of like the shell of the car and the side skirts, I am definitely pleased with how this has turned out. As far as I know, no runs in any of the panels. but also need to kind of go over and inspect each piece. But yeah, I'm happy. There is some trash, of course, and dirt in some of the pieces, so you know, that could have been better. But again, some wet sanding, polishing, I think we can kind of level those out and make it come out pretty nice. These are the filters that I ended up using, these screens, like bug screens. Obviously that's not ideal, but you know, I was improvising, and it definitely gave enough airflow to get the overspray out. Huge improvement, but obviously I did suffer a little bit, probably letting in some debris, because for some reason, I guess it was mow your grass day when I decided to paint this. So there's a lot more debris floating in the air than I would have liked. But can't control neighbors cutting the grass. Just gotta deal with it and move on. So just trying to show you our panels here. Everything's looking good. And now I finally get to take all of this plastic down and get my garage back. I am so happy. Ready to get this off the floor, ready to stop having one way to enter in here and having so little room next to my toolboxes. Be able to have my TV back. Yeah, so I am happy. I'm going to go ahead and start cleaning up this garage, get the plastic down, move these panels out probably. I might even move the car up and we can actually start setting the panels on the car just as somewhere to set them. Probably need some help with the doors, but we can at least set the fenders on, and probably can't set the hood on, but that can go out and chill for a little bit. So I'm gonna start cleaning up the garage. While I'm taking this all apart, I wanted to mention how I got this plastic sheeting hung up, because it worked out pretty well. I just put a bunch of hooks in the ceiling, in the joists that screwed in, and this sheeting, you know, you can pull it onto the hook, but that wouldn't be very strong. It would probably rip. So what I did was I reinforced it with tape. I put a piece of tape where I was gonna slide it over the hook, and then I put the hook through the tape. So this tape kind of reinforced the plastic wherever I like pulled it over the hook, and that made it all strong enough to kind of hold. So on each of these joints, the hook is actually going through the tape, and it's actually pretty easy to pull apart, but it was strong enough to hold throughout the painting process. So you can kind of see it there. But that's how I did it, just in case you guys may want to try the same thing. There we go. We've got the fenders back on the car. They're just loosely sitting there, and the doors bolted back up. Probably need to play with them and their adjustment a bit more, but everything is back in the garage and painted. So I'm very happy with the way everything's turned out. Now I get to spend the next several months putting the car back together, putting the rubber trim, the weather stripping on, and getting the final fitment, and just all of the things that need to happen after a paint job. So, you know, putting the taillights back in and all of the trim pieces. And I threw one of the pieces of the spoiler on, so just to see how that looks and to wrap up my video of doing body work to get it to fit really nice to the car. So I made a video of doing that, and yeah, really happy. I'll post up a picture of the paint that I bought. It's called Torch Red from TCP Global, and I don't have any complaints. It's fairly affordable. There's the lower air dam. Here's the hood. So, all right, everybody. Thanks for watching and following the journey, and I'll see you in the next one.